Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lunch with the Boxer session today. My name is Gina. I'm one of the moderators here and admissions counselor. We appreciate you hopping in today. I know it's a small group, but again, the recording is going to be posted on the YouTube channel, and I know a lot of parents are able to, parents and families and students are able to catch up that way. But welcome to today's session. I am very excited. We have a current parent here who's going to kind of hop in and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about her student who is here. Hi, Donna, how are you? She's going to hop in just a second here, but I do want to say that any questions that you have throughout the session for Donna, go ahead and stick it in the chat box. You can send it so that everybody could read the questions, or you can send it to me privately if you're feeling a little bit shy. I'll go ahead and just ask Donna myself for you, and I will go ahead and just kind of hopefully be able to give you guys some reassurance from somebody who's actually going through the process themselves as a family member of a Pacific boxer here. So thank you so much, Donna, for hopping in. And we're going to go ahead. If you can introduce yourself, Donna, and tell us a little bit about where you're from. I see you're from Hawaii. If you can tell us a little bit about your student, that would be great.
Awesome. Thanks, Gina. Thanks for inviting me. Hi, everybody. My name is Donna Mahuna. My daughter is a current junior at Pacific. She is majoring in early education with an emphasis in special education and minoring in communications of speech disorders. She also is a member of the volleyball team. Pacific has been an amazing experience for her. And I think as a parent, when she was going through the whole process of looking for colleges, where she was going to apply to, where she wanted to go, I kind of left that up to her in terms of where her interests were, what she wanted to do, and the person who really has been a really big influence in terms of the decision my daughter made to choose Pacific was Uncle Jeff Grendon, because he would come and do college visits at the school, and she sat in on a few of them, and we even she participated in a college tour trip during the summer after her junior year. And it was that interaction that she had with Uncle Jeff that I kind of think sealed the deal for her, because she felt like she made a connection to somebody at the campus, and he has Hawaii ties. And at the same time, he was he worked really well with her, and she always felt very comfortable to kind of go to him if she had questions regarding the application process, like scholarships she could apply to, financial aid questions. Like he was always willing and helpful. And I think that was one of the main reasons she chose Pacific. That, and because she knew she wanted to get into education, and Pacific offers that 1-year master's program. So the idea that she could get her bachelor's done in 4 and her master's done in 1 year also really enticed her, as well as when she found out that, yes, we're from Hawaii, we live on the Big Island, and when she found out that she could actually do her semester of student teaching possibly here at home in Hawaii was another bonus for her, because the Pacific has a partnership with our Department of Education here in Hawaii. So a lot of those things kind of fell into place for her. And she will tell you, if you ask her why she chose Pacific, she will tell you because of Uncle Jeff. And it is because he totally takes care of all students, not just the students from Hawaii. I mean, Uncle Jeff knows everybody. And how he makes them feel so cared for. He nurtures them, he supports them, he guides them. I mean, he's just amazing. And so he's just been a blessing in terms of, for me as a parent, knowing that she has somebody there to kind of kukua and help her along the way. She loves her professors at Pacific. She always talks about how great the professors are, and because the class sizes are pretty small, she's able to make those connections and relationships with her professors. Even when we shifted to distance learning and we were Zooming, they were really cool about the fact, like sometimes because of time difference, her classes were like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning Hawaii time, and the professors were like, it's totally cool. You can either turn your video off, or as long as you're there. They were really awesome about that. She's really built great relationships with her professors as well as the dean and the education department, to where they have also opened up opportunities for her this year where she's working in the Office of Accessibility and Accommodations.
Yeah.
Um, the dean and the education department even connected her with a tutoring kind of job where she works with a second grader who is autistic. So she's gaining all these amazing experiences because of her professors and the dean and the education department, who have kind of helped her connect with different organizations, and it's so amazing that she's getting these experiences. And then she also works with Auntie Jana in the Hawaii student office. So
she's busy.
and it's just great because I just love how the professors and the deans especially reach out to the students and be like, hey, I have this opportunity. Would you be interested in willing? I kind of put your name in the mix for it. And that's just based on her taking the classes and just building those relationships. So it's just awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I know we did have another person who was supposed to hop in. I believe something might have happened. So we're just gonna kind of move forward with some of the common FAQs that we get. And so one of the questions that we got as a parent throughout this kind of admissions decision process. Hi, Cheryl, how are you?
I'm good.
There's Cheryl here. She is one of our other current student parents that we're going to have. So Donna, I'm going to hold my question. And I know, Cheryl, you're working, and thank you so much for hopping in the middle of a workday as well. It looks like we have educators, which I love. Cheryl is also a parent of a current student here who is also a junior, actually. Is Charles a junior? Okay. Wow, I can't believe he's a junior now. I was hoping, Cheryl, while you are here, if you can maybe introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your student and how Charles is doing and throughout this whole Pacific process. And then we'll go to some Q&A here.
Awesome. I sure will. Hi, everybody. I'm Cheryl Crescenti. My son, Charles, like Gina said, is a junior. I can't believe that either. How did that happen? His major is environmental studies with an emphasis in politics and government. And he's getting a double minor in sustainability and environmental science. I think I did that right. I always get the science and the studies confused. He's been active in football. He played football for 2 years. He did not play football this year. He's lived in the dorm 3 years. He made the choice to live in the dorms this year instead of going to an apartment, which I was really thinking, especially with COVID. Gosh, what else? He's worked under Gina, actually. He's one of her admissions assistants. He also started as a freshman, helping a professor here on campus doing some research on the elk population in the area. So that was super exciting for him to get to be involved in that as a freshman. He also was involved in Luau, I guess his freshman year now. It's so crazy. And he just loves it. He's met so many people. He gives campus tours. I think that it has just been a super good fit for him. So whatever you need to know, whatever you want to ask.
Thank you. And I still remember Charles was 17 when I last saw him, and now he's just it's time flies. So thank you so much for sharing that and being on this today. And again, for all of our students and parents that are on the session, any questions that you have for these parents or their students are currently here at Pacific, feel free to go ahead and enter it in the chat box. You can send it so that everybody could read the questions, or you can send it to me directly privately if you're feeling a little shy, and I'll go ahead and read those questions aloud anonymously for you. But the one question that I do have right now, with the deadline being April 21st right now and May 1st being kind of that college decision deadline for a lot of our students. What helped your students kind of make that final decision to come to Pacific? And as a parent, how did you support that, or how did you help them come to that? Or if you were took a step back, like what was your role in this? And if we can start with Donna, since I kind of started asking you that question, that'd be great.
Sounds good. I think the personal connections, the comfortability she felt with Uncle Jeff in the admissions office, feeling like she had somebody that, leaving Hawaii, going away to the mainland, that was important, for her, that she kind of felt like, okay, I have somebody that I think will support me, and I'll have that help along the way. So the personal connection, definitely. Visiting the campus also helped. It's the campus is in a beautiful area, very safe. Lots of things for the students to do and get involved in. And so, I mean, really my job as the parent was, just supporting her decision along the way, and as well as, letting her know that, okay, so when you make this commitment, we're committing to it. Yeah. And I think every child goes through homesickness, and especially being from Hawaii. For me as a parent, that was the hard part in terms of, no, come on, you got this. You got to commit to at least a year. And I think Uncle Jeff tells them the same thing, is commit a year. Yeah. And once you get past that year, then we go from there. And I saw, the personal connection, just supporting her decision and kind of making her stick to it as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Donna. Cheryl, what about you? I know Charles was in contact with coaches as well during his recruitment heavily. So how did that play out?
So Charles had been looking at several different options, and he came to Pacific and did one of the football previews, I guess. I don't know what those are called, but he came for a weekend and hung out with the players and, toured the campus, got a feel of the campus. I agree with Donna. I think that's really, really important to the decision-making process, whether it's here on Zoom or in person, however you're doing that. But he just felt really comfortable and really happy. And I think for me as a parent, that was the major part. He had been looking at a large school in California and Pacific. And so we made a list of the pros and cons. Gina's laughing.
I love it.
We made a list of the pros and cons of each school, including the financial support for each one. And so he finally made his decision for Pacific. And again, I agree with Donna. He did go through that homesickness, and he never told us. And so we had gone up to Oregon for homecoming his very first year. And then when we left, so mid-October, then when we left, that's when it kind of hit him. But he had so much support. And honestly, also as a parent, Gina knows, I'll call people. I called the campus security. Is that what they're called? Okay. I called Gina in campus security, and I called his RA in the dorm. And I felt comfortable doing that. And that for me was huge as a parent, because I didn't want him to know that I had done that either. And so Donna's laughing. And so for me, that just made me feel great as a parent, because I'm in Southern California. We do have family in Oregon, but about an hour and a half from the college. But for me, I felt safe and secure knowing that I had people that I could get in contact with for times when I needed to. And there's been several times that I've needed to. And so that just kind of sets your mind at ease as a parent. And I honestly know that it wouldn't be like that if he had chosen the other school.
Thank you. So it's great to hear that that you guys feel comfortable reaching out to admissions. And I know our office is admissions. It's really kind of just letting the students into campus. But even after the admissions process, we are still here. And Charles has worked in our office for the past 2 years, and I love having him come in. And it's a family experience. And like Donna had said, like your students can absolutely reach out to your admissions counselors. Even as a current student here, we are here to help, with any resources. And I think that was probably the biggest, hardest, I guess, indicator for a lot of students and parents was to go through that phase where, your student calls you or lets you know at one point that they are homesick. And what do you do as a parent, especially if you're on an island so far away or a whole other state on the other end of the continent, and what kind of resources are out there. And so I'm glad you guys both were able to share that, so everybody knows that they do have that support on campus. Some of the questions that are coming in is a little bit more lighthearted, and I think this is great. What is the number one thing that they forgot to pack when they were packing for college? How do you pack for moving to another state, but into a half-size room? And what are some of the challenges that come with that? Cheryl?
So when Charles left for college, he wanted to be a minimalist. Yeah. So he realized, yeah, I know, it's kind of funny because when I helped him move in last fall, he had 54 t-shirts. Who needs 54 t-shirts? Nobody. So much for the minimalist. But I think one of the things that he didn't think he would need, but he ended up wanting one, was a coffee pot.
That is a good one. That line at Starbucks can get a little long in the morning.
Yeah.
Donna, anything that was missed?
I mean, for us, knowing that Oregon had no sales tax.
Yep.
And we took our daughter up. It was like, okay, we're not packing up half the house, half your room, and sending it with you to college. We're gonna you just pack your clothes, what you think you're gonna need. And then when we got there, that's when we did our shopping. Kind of not really knowing kind of what she needed. I know she needed a good rain jacket, a good rain shoes. She of course, didn't have to worry about the rice because there's rice pretty much at every meal.
Yep.
And there's an Asian store right nearby campus and stuff like that. So really, I think the only thing she wanted to probably pack up was like us.
Exactly.
But for the most part, I mean, no sales tax shopping, especially like that was beautiful and amazing. So don't buy everything wherever you're at. Wait till you get there. Go to do your shopping in Oregon, and I mean, it was just the best.
Absolutely, I agree 100%.
The other thing too, for parents to know is that if you're not coming wherever you're living, and like maybe your students coming on their own or with friends or with other people, you can always order ahead at Walmart, and you can just do a pickup order at Walmart, which is amazingly easy. So yeah, you don't need to bring everything.
Yeah, that's smart.
Good grief.
54 t-shirts. This is something I'm gonna be making fun of Charles about, Cheryl, I think. We did get a question that is, I think, a great question, that from a parent is, how did your student handle time management during his or her freshman year? My student is a huge procrastinator and isn't the strongest about time management, and this is my biggest worry about them. And this is, every year we tell time management is the number one important thing to help students be successful, the absolute huge concern. So have your students struggled with this? And if so, like, what did they do to help manage that?
I'll go first. I think especially if your child is going to be playing sports, really take a look at and emphasize to them the amount of credits, the load that they're going to take, especially when their season is in, when their sport is in season. My daughter is really great at, she's a calendar kind of person, a planner. So she's great at kind of keeping track of everything. And she's kind of always been like that. The only difficulty with her is making sure she sets her alarm so that she gets time to get to class or wherever she needs to be. But because like she was a fall sport player, and she thought, well, in high school, I carried a full load of classes. I played sports year round. I can deal with this. Not realizing that when you're in college and you're playing a sport, there's travel away games, and sometimes they're a couple hours away. Sometimes you stay overnight. So for her, I think she took too heavy of a load her first semester of her freshman year, thinking that she could balance everything. And then learned that, okay, maybe I shouldn't do like 18 credits in the fall semester of freshman year while I'm playing a fall sport. Yeah. So she learned that. So really, if you have a child that's going to be playing a sport, regardless if it's fall, winter, or spring, just kind of make sure that they don't watch the load, I guess. Yeah.
Great advice. Cheryl, anything else from there?
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And Charles took chemistry his first and second semesters as a freshman. Don't do that. Don't do that. That was just really crazy for him, and I think put stress on him that maybe he didn't really need. And especially that first semester, I would suggest having your student take easier classes or classes that they think they're going to enjoy that all fit into their schedule, but just classes that they're going to enjoy. And then Charles, he's so funny. He thinks he can do things without a calendar and all of that. And he keeps pretty good, Gina's laughing. He keeps pretty good track of everything. But I think it was his sophomore year, he decided that he was going to start a calendar. So now he has a calendar on his wall in his dorm room. And especially now being in person and not in person in different classes, just trying to keep track of when am I supposed to be here, when am I supposed to be there. The big, one of those big, huge calendars really has helped him out a lot. So I would suggest that.
Yeah, definitely finding a system that's worked for them. And I think for those of you who aren't aware, we do have what we call a Jan term. And this is kind of a free period in between fall semester and spring semester. Winter break is 6 weeks long, which is fairly long. And a lot of students have told us it's a lot longer than they had initially thought. And so students will still get a couple weeks at home to spend the holidays and the New Year's. And once the New Year's is over, we offer classes that are anywhere from 2 to 4 credits. And I think we might have a couple of 1 credit classes as well. So depending on how many credits that class is, the start time will be different, but it's a condensed session in the winter term that is optional. There is no additional tuition and there is no additional housing with that. And so students can opt to come back a little bit earlier and take those classes. And so just like Donna had said, front loading on the first semester into transition is probably not the best idea because it's a culture shock as well too, especially for our students who are coming from the islands. Coming to mainland is such a big adjustment. And so make sure they have a lighter load. 12 credits is the minimum that they can have to be a full-time student. And so they can start off with 12 credits if they're going to have a fall heavy kind of sport, and then take that winter class so they're not quote unquote falling behind, and then have a maybe a regular 14 to 16 credit semester in the springtime. So this is all such great advice. I love hearing this. The other question that I got, which is kind of similar, is advice on adjusting to having the student in college that first year. Like as a parent, what was the biggest adjustment for you, and how can you help support your student without, I guess without being a mom? That's not probably not the right word to say, but without being overly indulgent, I guess, in terms of their needs and doing everything for them. How do you make that, but you don't want to be too far away from them that they don't have that support? So where do you find that I guess, thin line, and how did you navigate that?
Well, I guess as a freshman, I'll be honest, it was really hard on me.
Mhm,
Um, it was hard on me personally because Charles was my buddy.
mhm.
Um, so I think what I really tried to do, and I still do it, he's probably like, oh gosh, mom, but every day I just text him, good morning, hope you have a great day. And that just kind of leaves it open, you know, and, sometimes he'll say, he'll want to talk. Sometimes he'll just say, have a great day too. But for us, that texting piece was just a simple thing. And I still do that. And then the other thing is that I tried not to call him I don't think I talked to him on the phone until maybe week 6 or 7 that he was at school. He was just so busy with sports, and that was because football, any sport, is a huge time commitment. And I don't think he really realized what the time commitment was actually going to be either. As he told me, it's 24/7. And so I just tried to kind of leave him alone, give him his space, but yet let him know that I'm there and if he needs something. The other thing I really like that they just started is the through the food services. What is that called? Like cookies from home or
Yeah,
whatever
it's like some
that's
care
called.
package type of thing that you can, yeah.
And I did that for him like a month ago, and it was
Oh.
cookies and chocolate milk. And he just thought that was so cool. So, little things like that. But honestly, I think for us, just the not talking on the phone directly was a huge help for both of us, him and I.
That's perfect. Donna, what about you? How did things go with McKenna when she first came?
I mean, that was hard for me. She's my oldest, first one going away to college. Um, and I told her you left me home with the mail. I didn't have a balance of hormones in my house anymore. But for her and I, it's she pretty much called. I mean, I left it up to her. I tried not to do the call every day, text every day. As a counselor to high school students, that's what I used to my parents when they're doing that transition, letting go. Like, okay, mom, you got to let them, spread their wings and experience things. I try not to. However, thank goodness for technology nowadays, where it's not where you have to make those collect calls at a certain time in the evening or the day, so it's not too expensive. So thank goodness for text messaging, FaceTime. So, she's the child who will either FaceTime me as she's walking to class just to say, hey, mom, love you, good morning, whatever is, or when she goes to Walmart, like, hey, mom, I don't know, I'm not feeling really well. Which cold medicine do I buy? Like that's my child. But we tried to set it where, okay, every Sunday, at this time, around this time, we'll do family call so that everybody, mom, dad, brother, can all get involved and do a little FaceTiming thing with her just to kind of check in. So, I guess it's trying to kind of finding the balance in terms of what is enough, what is not enough. And that was hard though, because as a parent, you want to, especially for me, like you want to call them all the time.
I remember seeing a meme somewhere where they were telling kind of the newer kids that back in the day we used to get charged 10 cents for a text message, and they all thought we were all lying. And so yeah, it's technology has definitely stepped up where it's a lot easier. And I know the time difference can be a bit of an issue, just being able to just find the right adjustment. I think and it obviously sounds like that you guys have worked on this. It wasn't like a one plan that this is going to work and that's all it is. It's okay, let's see how things go, and we'll roll with it and make plans accordingly. And I think that's important for everybody. So thank you for that. Another question that we got is for move-in. How do you help with move-in in terms of, I know it looks a little bit different with this past fall, the pandemic, and it was time slots. As a parent, Is there, how involved should you be in like the orientation, and kind of, did it actually help to come to the orientation, or did you find that like, hey, I had kind of all the information that I needed? Can you guys maybe touch a little bit on how the orientation process was for you guys?
So when Charles was a freshman, he came in playing football. So he came in early and did his orientation. He kind of went off to his orientation, and then the coaches had orientation for the parents, which I think that that was great. That way he got to do his stuff and meet people. And then every year we've gone to help him move in, whatever place he's been living at. This year he was in like an on-campus apartment type dorm. So I actually set up their kitchen for them and all that. I know, but I don't know, like that to me is, especially that first year, it was such like a family transition time also, because he was going off to do his thing and then we were going back. Okay, I cried the whole entire flight home, but that's okay. That's okay.
It is. It's natural.
But I don't know. I like being involved, and we are in the States, so it's easier for us because, we don't have the Hawaii trip and that kind of thing. But I just think I think a couple things. I think, first of all, being involved and helping them do that is really cool, because there's lots of other parents on campus that are kind of doing the same thing. So you're kind of in the journey and the process together, so to speak. But then also allowing him or her their own individuality as they're setting up their dorm room, and the excitement of where are they going to put stuff, and how are these 54 shirts going to fit, and all of that kind of thing. So I think, again, just what works for your family, but being as involved as you can and as involved as they kind of want you to be at the same time. It's a balancing act.
Absolutely. Thank you. Donna?
Pacific has amazing communication with the families. Although a lot of it gets directed towards the students, we still get communication as parents in terms of what's going on at the university, activities, things that, heads up kind of stuff. So communication is amazing. Sometimes I feel like I know more about what's going on with my daughter at school than I probably know about my son at the school I work at. But for the Hawaii kids, there was this big Hawaii reception that they had where you could all kind of participate and get together, so they all could meet former students, current students who are going to be going, parents could meet. Any orientation I say that Pacific offers is great to join in on, and because you get so much great information, especially like these Zooms like this about finding out from current parents, because I felt like those were the most helpful for me as a parent with a child going off to college for the first time. So any orientation was helpful. There's always bits and pieces of information that I gathered from the different orientations I went to that was really prepared me, I think, as a parent. I don't think my daughter really was paying attention really to some of the details kind of thing about it, because it's just excitement, right, about college. The other thing is we waited till we got her into her dorm room to kind of get an idea of what the room looked like. And then from there decided, okay, what do you need? Because we didn't want to like go shopping, bring everything to the dorm room and be like, oh God, it doesn't fit, or this doesn't work and we can't put it there. So that for me was really helpful in just going to the dorm room first, taking a look at what they have and what they'll need. And then, like I said, shop for it in Oregon.
Definitely, it'll save so much on not having that sales tag. So, and this is a question that you guys may be able to answer. Oh, you should. With COVID, are parents allowed to help set up dorm rooms, or is there a restriction to students only? This past year, we had the student be allowed to be accompanied by one other person from kind of like their family or group, whoever was helping them move in. So it was restricted. Did either of you help? Cheryl, you mentioned it too, but how was the process different from kind of like a normal where you have anybody and everybody helping you move things in and, you know, move things a little bit quicker with COVID? How did the restrictions kind of hinder or help with move in?
You know, honestly, yes, there was a difference, but it was very well organized, and you knew exactly when you could come, exactly when, you know, your time was up. Um, and I don't, you know, this is my third year of helping, and I don't honestly feel like there was that big of a change. I mean, as far, you know, I mean, we were still able to help. And so that for me was like the biggest thing. Like I just wanted to help.
Mhm.
But it was very well organized. Like all the move-ins are organized. They're, you know, you go here, you do this, you get this. And then even it was like kind of like a drive-through kind of,
Mhm.
you know, pick up your stuff this time. And it was just very well organized. Yes, there was that, you know, restriction of one person. But it was totally fine as thinking about if that had happened when Charles was a freshman. I think I just would have had to have been like a little more planned in my
Mhm.
head and had everything a little bit more planned out kind of thing. Um, but it was fine. And I don't know obviously what this fall is going to look like for people, but just, you know, just be planned. And I like Donna's idea of you know, just kind of make a list, see what it looks like, and see what they need, and go from there. And Amazon always delivers, also.
That's very true.
Um, we only took our McKenna up her freshman year, and got her situated. And then after that, before she came home for the summer, she got together with a bunch of friends, and they all got storage units nearby the campus. So they all split the cost of a storage unit, packed up their stuff. They always somehow manage to find somebody who has a car. Because I'm
Very
not
true.
going to be Bobbly buying her a car to while she's there. So you know, I just kind of went up the first time, and then after that, like they just kind of figure it out. Yeah,
Mhm.
they know what they need to do. They know who to go to on campus to say, okay, now what do we do? Where can we go? Where can we put our stuff? So that was great. And so when she had to go back up her sophomore year, you know, we didn't go with her. Her friends got together and they said, okay, we're all going to go back on this date. And of course, she had to go back a little bit earlier. So her friends were great in terms of also going back a little early. We're going to go pick up our stuff from the storage and get it situated in the dorms. And so that's kind of been really, really, really great. Also in terms of, I guess, them growing up and
Yeah,
independent.
that's
And
awesome.
the other thing that comes to my mind too is that there's always parents around.
Yeah.
So, you know, like in Donna's daughter's case, you know, maybe one of their friends had a parent here, and, you know, then they all took off and went shopping and got what they needed. Um, so yeah, I love it. They do figure it out. Like when school shut down, oh my
Mhm.
goodness, that was a huge growth experience right
Yeah,
there.
how can we I think that's a great kind of segue into the next topic actually. Like how has things changed for them? Obviously there are big changes, and in the instances of both McKenna and Charles, they had kind of like what we would say like a normal kind of freshman year, and had half of sophomore year, and then, you know, the second half of sophomore year is when, you know, we kind of shut down, and then junior year was, you know, entirely in the pandemic. So they've kind of gotten a taste of what kind of the normal college life is, and also had to transition into this, you know, pandemic. How has that affected, or, you know, if you guys can share a little bit of how that went for students, I think that'd be great.
I mean,
Well, for Charles, because I'm an educator also, and I had told him on March 13th, hey, my school's shutting down and blah, blah, blah. And at that point, he wasn't quite sure what was going on at Pacific. And so then he finally made the decision to come home, which was awesome. And so he took a lot of that responsibility, okay, all of that responsibility on his own, finding some place for his storage. He had gone back to his previous storage place, and okay, they weren't offering a very good deal, so he found a better deal at another storage place.
Good.
He did it all on his own. And then the quick pack up, helping his roommate pack up, helping his friends pack up, because I believe there were 6 of them that shared one storage unit also. And just it was a time of growth. You
Mhm,
could just see that responsibility change. You could just see that he had it. He could do
mhm.
it. It didn't matter what was thrown at him. He could do it. And
That's so
I think
awesome.
because I'm looking at the question in the chat, the
Mhm,
confidence changing. Um, that was, I think, honestly, that was a huge turning point
mhm,
because, they had to do it on their own. He also went through a pretty scary medical
mhm.
situation in February, right before school shut down.
I remember
And
this.
he
Yeah.
was, yeah, he was doing that all on his own also. Um, so I think just the support and the smallness in him being able to know where to go and know where to know the avenues and the people that he needed to go to kind of figure out doing life
Mhm.
was a huge, huge benefit of a small school.
Yeah.
So how did McKenna do?
So, I mean, I was thrilled because she was coming home. For her, I think she basically packed up pretty much everything, left some of the big stuff in storage.
Mhm.
When she came home, it was almost like, are you like not ever going back? 'Cause all her clothes, everything came home. So I was like, "Okay, we still gotta work on this, sister. What can stay, what needs to come back. But class wise, I mean, it was still great. That in a sense continued on. Yeah, the
Mhm.
classes and everything was great. So that really wasn't the issue. It's just getting how much packing stuff she brings home kind of stuff. I think it was the unknown of what was going to happen. That's why
Mhm.
all. In regards to the confidence one, I think from what I've observed in just my own child is
Mhm.
I think it's the small size of the campus and the class sizes and the opportunities that they have to build those relationships with their professors, with the deans, with everybody basically. I mean, everybody from who works in food services to financial aid to the custodians to the security people. I mean, everybody at Pacific are so helpful and they really do take great care of our kids. And I think in that it's these people are helping to build these amazing adults really. I think that opportunities to have those relationships with these people have increased my daughter's confidence level in terms of they help draw out the strengths, they challenge her to build off of the weaknesses, yeah, that she has, as well as it's a matter of, hey, you're becoming an adult, you need to start learning how to advocate for yourself and find your voice. Yeah, so I love that. I love
Yeah.
the growth that I've seen.
That's it's so amazing to hear. And I know we are on a true lunch hour because we have both working educators. And so I want to thank you so much for your time. And I did wanted to ask, one last thing before we sign off, and a quick question that came in: is there a list of type of furniture to bring and not to bring? Yes, we do have a checklist for housing, and I'll go ahead and enter in the link in the chat box there so everybody can view it. It is on our housing website, so there's like a checklist of things that you should and shouldn't bring. But because of time wise, I'm just gonna quickly shift. If you guys can offer one advice for parents or students who maybe are doing this on their own and maybe don't have that support, any type of advice for this kind of big milestone in their life that they're about to enter into, what would it be? I know that was a very big question, but I think it's really important to kind of hear. While you guys are thinking on that, I do want to again remind everybody that the students have resources. Just make sure that they are able to reach out. And I've seen parents who've kind of adopted their students, roommates, and friends as their own, and really have built a support system from them as well. And we know not every student is in the same situation, and they might not have the same type of support that some of our other students, like McKenna and Charles, have. And so make sure to reach out to anyone on campus if you need support. We are here to help you with that. And the parent support has been amazing. It's a whole other entity that I've never ever seen in any other campuses that I've worked in. And really the Pacific family is a true family. So any last advice that you'd like to give to some of the people who are listening in on this?
I would say to me, one of the most important things that a college student can do is to get involved, meet people, look for people with like interests as yours, join clubs, go and talk to your professors. Just get involved any way you can, because that way you're going to have life-changing and lifelong friends.
Great. I would say breathe.
Yes.
Don't worry. As a parent, I know my child is well taken care of. And when Gina says that Pacific is a family environment, it really, really is. There's a huge alumni connected to Pacific, and they are also another amazing group. So I bet you could probably find alumni that in the area where you live or where your child has gone to school who is a Pacific alum. And if you were to connect with them, they would be so quick to want to make sure that they're there to help support your child. That has also been another amazing experience for my daughter, is not just the faculty on campus, but the extended ohana with the alumni people that also. So, don't worry. And like Gina says, yeah, I mean, they're always there to answer questions. There's never something like a dumb question or like, yes, I don't know if I should be asking this as a parent, because
Ask.
Poor Gina, she knows that.
But you never know, right? It doesn't ever hurt to ask. It doesn't cost you anything, and that's something that I always say, and I love hearing from families. And so and I love it. And that's actually how I got close to Charles on campus, is through the questions that Cheryl had asked and reached out to, and so now I have a buddy on campus. I kind of stole your buddy. I'm sorry, Cheryl, but Charles is amazing. Yeah. And so thank you so much for your time, ladies. I know you guys are in the middle of your own lunch hour, and I'm sorry you didn't get the time to eat, but we appreciate you hopping in here and just kind of helping some of these families kind of get a little reassurance for their student, and to hear it from somebody who's going through the process or have gone through it and is a parent of a student right now really speaks volumes. So thank you so much again. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the questions that came in as well. I do want to point out that next week at our Lunch with the Boxer session, we have Mike Shingle, our Director of Advising, hopping in to help answer questions about course registration, classes, and how that's going to look for sign up. And so definitely come in. Thank you so much again. Thank you, Donna and Cheryl, again. We appreciate you. Everybody have a great rest of the day. And we'll see you next week at our next Lunch with the Boxer session. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, mahalo.